Hey, what's happening, YouTube? Hello. Oh man, I get so many questions about when I hand-reared Sid and what I did, the perfect nut, and what I did to get him free flying. So originally, I hand-reared Sid from 3 weeks old. The perfect nut, Sid. You're such a good boy. Oh mate, you don't want to tickle this afternoon. He's having a good time up in the trees, had a good fly through the woods. See that on Instagram and TikTok. And YouTube Shorts, of course. So I originally hand-reared Sid from 3 weeks old. While I was doing that, I'd seen someone on YouTube free flying some Amazon parrots, and I had no idea. I wasn't on Instagram, I wasn't into social media at all. I had no idea. I actually couldn't believe it. And so that is what triggered me into investigating how to start free flying him. He was 3 weeks old, I started hand rearing him. By the time he got to 12, he's flapping his wings like crazy. So you can tell he's building his energy up, he's building his muscles up and getting himself ready to leave the nest box. That's what would actually happen. So I started eating with him and I started drinking with him. And I'd have my meals with him. I'd stand on his cage. And I'd feed him and I'd feed myself, and I totally bonded with Sid, and that's what I'd done. I'd done that from 3 weeks old. As he started getting older and I could do that, that is exactly what I did. Then, as he started to fly, I had him in my garage and I had stands, and I used to call him to me. So he'd come to me, I'd give him a little treat, and then I'd send him back to the cage. Then I'd call him, it's just recall training. And that went on, I think, for 12 weeks. Then when you're pretty confident that he's doing as he's told, bearing in mind Sid is, I haven't trained him to within an inch of his life, you know. I'm not that kind of person. He kind of does what he wants to do as well, which is a bit of a risk, but never mind. And when you're confident enough, you open the door, and I walked down onto the drive, called him from his cage, and he came back to me. I sent him back to his cage. I walked further out onto the drive. I called him and he flew over my head and went in a tree for a day and a half, and it was an absolute nightmare. And I was calling, I was panicking. Obviously I was in a right state. And what, day and a half later, he just flew down and landed on my shoulder, good as gold. I couldn't believe it. I fed him, got him watered, got him back in the cage, carried on with the recall training, opened the garage door another time, and the rest is history. You can see where we've gone on Instagram. And the difference with me and maybe other trainers, every time he does something, he doesn't get a treat. I want Sid to do what Sid wants to do. He is like a member of the family, so if I'm at work at home and I'm doing something in the workshop, he's there. If I'm gardening, he's there. If I'm mowing the lawn, he's there. And he just interacts and we interact with him. Oh, you're a good boy. You're a good boy. He knows I'm talking about him. And that's how I've done it. Other trainers, they've got the birds trained to perfection, coming back, recall, doing tricks, putting the square cube in the square cube hole. You know, I'm not into that. I just tried to keep it natural with him. He's more or less at liberty. I am really lucky that I live out in woods and I live out in the country, and that has really helped. I hope that answers some of your questions. Keep the questions coming. I intend to go live on TikTok and Instagram, and then people can ask me any questions you want to ask me about parrot keeping, you know, whatever you want to know. Thanks so much for the follows, guys. Look forward to entertaining you again. We're off to finish our walk. Take care, guys. Have a great weekend. Hello, Steve.